Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, joined, as always, by most valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
It is Saturday morning. That means one thing only. It is time for the weekly stream or skip segment. Every week, I introduce it with a lot of enthusiasm. Our longtime listeners are on the edge of their seats, and then you take a few moments to explain to new listeners, or those who may be rejoining after a hiatus, what is the rules of stream or skip. So without further ado, Pete, launch into it.
You got it. Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows for each other to watch. Every week, we randomly assign one of those shows. We watch at least 2 episodes if it's a series, or 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program. And on that basis, we determine if that show is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
That's right. And this week, we have not only given each other assignments, but I think we've watched each other's assignment, right?
Yes.
So let's take it alphabetically, and that begins with you, A for Adolescence on Netflix. Tell us all about it.
All right, so Adolescence is a special show. Let me start off by saying that it is unique. Like I've never seen a show like this before. It's only 4 episodes long.
Yeah.
And it's about, there's no easy way to say this. It's effectively about knife crime in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Now, knife crime in the UK is kind of like, shooting violence in the US. It's a very pervasive topic. It's something that's constantly being brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very sensitive topic. That's right. And people think, well, it's a knife. It's not a big deal. Obviously, guns are way more damaging, are way more divisive. But the point is that guns are banned in the UK, and so knives are the next alternative for violent offenders.
Mm-hmm.
What this show does is it shows knife crime from a different perspective. It doesn't show it from the victim side. It shows knife crime from the perpetrator's side, and all the different elements that led up to this killing of a young girl. Mm-hmm. And it's about this 13-year-old boy who's still a student in school and by all rights is a good student, and why he resorts to stabbing a fellow classmate. Mm-hmm. It's really dark, it's really deep, and it's really slow, but in a good way, in the sense that it shows you perspectives that you might not normally have thought of. So like there's a lot of cyberbullying, there's a lot of talk about incels and about the manosphere and Andrew Tate and people like that, like these people who create this culture and how that affects young minds.
I watched it as well. I have a little bit of a different take on it, but I think we both agree that it's exceptionally well done in terms of character development and the realism of the emotions from kind of like 360-degree perspective, right? My take on it was, for as short as it was, it really brought in a lot of different perspectives. And I'm not sure what the overall takeaway is, because it seems like it's kind of a commentary on society.
Yeah.
You're right. You could look at it from like the child. It's not a child. I mean, they're 13 years old, but you could look at it from their perspective and understand how complex and isolating and frustrating it is to be like a teen in kind of this type of culture where there is a lot of cyberbullying. Everything is very reputationally or optically tied to kind of your social media or your profile and things like that. And that has the impact of kind of magnifying everything in your life, which is you can't just live your life kind of individually outside of the spotlight, that if you don't have a spotlight, that kind of puts a spotlight on you in the sense that you don't have any social media. You're not posting anything. You're not seen to be doing anything interesting or unique. But to the extent that you do post things, then it opens you up for ridicule and bullying and, other things. So I think one aspect, and this is a little bit of the low-hanging fruit, was kind of a modern commentary or a take on, adolescence in the current society, like the current day and age. I think the second take on this was the complexity of a victim's family, right? So I mean, there's a lot of shows out there that talk about, the victim. There's a lot of shows that talk about, the perpetrator of a crime. There aren't so many shows that focus on the perpetrator or the alleged perpetrator's family. And I thought that was the most powerful element of the show, which was the kid who's accused of murder. And there's an element of, did he or didn't he? And I think that we're kind of meant to believe that he did. But I thought the more powerful part of this show was showing that young man's family, his father, his mother, his sister, how they cope in a small neighborhood, in a small town, in a small community, and how everything they do was kind of under a magnascope and scrutinized. And they had not only the grief to deal with, their son who potentially would be locked away in prison for a long time. They had the grief in terms of, did we raise our son in the right way? Like, is this our fault? Are we culpable? Did we do something wrong? And then obviously the guilt of, just being in a community and having, the stares and the innuendo and the insinuations and kind of the subtle allegations. So I thought the most powerful part of the show was showing the young man's family and how they had to cope with the potentially terrible thing that the son did, and all the allegations and the scrutiny that came to them with this unwanted attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, ultimately, that's one of the reasons why. So the UK Parliament actually discussed this show and how effective it was at showing all the different sides of knife crime. So it's not just that this boy kills this girl. It's not just that this girl's family has to cope with the losing. It's also about the boy's family. It's also about the schoolmates and like everyone involved.
You gave this a must subscribe.
Oh, yeah. So I gave it a must subscribe for two reasons. One, first of all, it's in terms of subject matter, very, very important.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that as, a British guy living in the UK. I'm just saying in general, it doesn't need to be about knives. Knives are the weapon of choice here, but like you can substitute a knife for a gun, for a machete, for a pencil. It doesn't make a difference. The point is
it's just an instrument.
It's just an instrument. Exactly. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, and you will have noticed this if you saw it, every episode is a oneer. Every episode is a one-shot take. No breaks. So there's only 4 episodes. It's 4 1-hour episodes. And that means that they had to do a 1 hour long take.
I did not pick that up. That's a fantastic observation.
It's the only show I've seen that's done this. And it's supposedly, so they filmed this each episode over the course of, I think, 10 days, or either 1 week or 10 days.
Okay.
And they did 2 shots a day.
Wow.
It's one of the most impressive technical and like production-wise feats I've ever seen.
Wow. I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that, again, it's a very slow show. Like the opening scene is a police raid and the boy being arrested.
Yeah.
But it's not your quote-unquote Hollywood-style police raid. It's very slow. It's very quiet. It's very calm. They aren't like yelling and kicking the door down and like flash photography and like sharp camera angles. None of that. It's very methodical, and it's kind of like the anti-Michael Bay almost, if you look at it that
Yeah.
way. And I
Yeah.
think that also reflects how most police raids are. I think most people are just like, it's not the Hollywood version. It's a lot less exciting than you would expect. But at the same time, it's a lot more tense because it really feels genuine.
Let's talk a little bit about the cast. The father is
Yeah.
Stephen Graham.
Yeah, he's the only famous one that or the one that I recognize.
So Stephen Graham was in Guy Ritchie's Snatch,
Yeah.
but also I saw him last week on A Thousand Blows,
Yeah.
where he played the one of the lead characters. And I thought that he was an exceptionally deep and nuanced father in this show. Fantastic. And then the young man, teenager accused of murder, is Owen Cooper. And apparently this is his first role.
First acting role. That's right.
And he's like bonkers good, right?
Yeah, he smashed it out of the park. Really good.
I mean, just the nuance in terms of we see a little bit of his temper. I mean, I think that's kind of the nuance that he brought to this, which is sometimes he's just this real sweet, kind of innocent, playful kid. But you see, and I think this is how they try to, I mean, apart from the CCTV footage, but this is how they try to obviously like explain that he did it. He's got a very, I don't know if I'd say a short temper, but like when his temper erupts, you're like, oh, I can see him stabbing someone, which is a little bit uncomfortable, but like the kid pulls it off really, really well. Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you gave this a must subscribe. I don't disagree, but at the same time, I'm not giving it the same rating. I agree with everything you've said. It is exceptional. I mean, it is really, really good. I gave it a mooch for two reasons. One, it's dark. I mean, this is not the feel-good show to like turn your mood around. It's a dark subject matter, right? I mean, it's a teen boy killing a teen girl. And the second reason is that I guess I just felt that even though it's exceptionally well done from an artistic perspective, there wasn't really anything like interesting or mystery wise, or it wasn't like presumed innocent. There wasn't like a twist at the end or anything. There was CCTV footage at the beginning. It just was a very, very good drama, but I felt like it didn't really like lead me anywhere. And for that reason, I would have a hard time putting money just to have this streaming service, just to have Netflix for 4 episodes of this.
Yeah.
So based on my criteria, I think that this is a mooch, but I absolutely agree that if you would pay for Netflix and you'd binge these 4 episodes, you would not walk away saying, I want my money back. It's money well spent. It is short. Sometimes, I mean, and that's the story. The story is short. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a series should be 4 episodes if it calls for 4 episodes and 12 episodes if it calls for 12 episodes. So I think it's right. Definitely, I'm sure they could have squeezed another 1 or 2 episodes out if they would have wanted to. But I think the story was told completely in the 4 episodes. I thought it was quite well done.
Absolutely.
Can we go 2 for 2 this week?
You tell me. We're watching The Madness on Netflix.
Yeah, so we're staying on Netflix, and you assigned me something called The Madness. And I did think that this was kind of a zombie apocalypse. I was kind of assuming that there was like some type of virus or some type of like subliminal sound that was causing people to like go crazy and kill each other. And that's what I thought this was from the brief previews I saw and from the title. Could not have been more wrong. It's absolutely not. The Madness is about, let's call him a journalist, somehow framed for a murder of a white supremacist. And he spends the entirety trying to clear his name from this very, very deep, dark, cabal-like conspiracy group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of.
Like the Illuminati almost.
Yeah. So at first it seems as though he's kind of not seen someone be murdered, but witnessed the post-murder scene. He runs from the killers who discover him and he escapes stabbing one of them. self-reports to the police. The police show up, of course, and the scene is totally spotless, spick and span, cleaned up. They do find out that someone's been murdered, and he's now gotten himself into the position where he's now being framed for this. All hope seems lost. Everything seems to be pointing against him. He's got no one, really helping him. Everyone is, out looking for him. Seems bad. And then slowly, he works, he networks a little bit, finds some sympathetic people, and he clears his name, right? That's the end. It's a fantastic show. The title character, Coleman Domingo, he's fantastic in this role. And the only other person that I recognized in this was the FBI agent, John Ortiz, who we also saw in
Bad Monkey,
Apple TV Plus. I mean, John Ortiz plays like that FBI kind of cop role, I think, really well, right? That's kind of his bread and butter. I thought the show was extraordinary, very edge of seat stuff. If you like these deep-rooted conspiracy theories and kind of like thriller type mysteries, this is for you. I think it's very realistic, which is hard in a day and age of everyone has phones and social media and cameras and stuff. I thought it's very realistic in terms of how he navigated through all the kind of current technology to unravel this mystery without being it didn't rely too much on like text messages and like screenshots of the phone. It was more kind of like legwork by him. And I appreciated that element. It's not fun when you watch a show that's only kind of everyone's hunched over their phone doing searches and finding stuff like that. I gave this a mooch rather than a must subscribe, very similar to Adolescence. In terms of the show, it is fantastic. The plot is fantastic. The entertainment value is fantastic. The casting is fantastic. Everything, I give it like chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. There's two things that cause me to not say that I would pay money for this. One, it's a really deep conspiracy thing. Let's not go into whether or not these do or do not happen, or whether it's based on real life events or something. It's a really, really deep conspiracy. And those kind of always turn me off a little bit, where, there's one super powerful person or group who has kind of all this influence and they can get things erased or deleted or so forth. The second thing is there's white supremacy in this, right? So that's a very, very, I don't want to say like, oh, I don't like controversial or uncomfortable topics, but that in addition to the conspiracy side of things kind of piles on two different subject matters, which again, much like Adolescence, this is not the feel-good show where you're like, oh my gosh, I had the most stressful day at work. Everything went wrong. Family's all up in my business. I just need to like veg for an hour. This is not the 1 hour show that you watch. You're like, oh, I feel so much better. In fact, I feel like this is a show that kind of drags you down a notch. Whenever you've got a show about a white supremacy group, there's obviously a lot of hatred in the show, but it's definitely not an enjoyable subject matter, to experience. And then the idea of the deep, deep, deep cabal conspiracy, whether or not, again, you think that's believable or not believable, it's a dark subject matter to wrestle with. How helpless you can feel, how, the few have the power over the many, and so on and so forth. So I loved this show from every perspective, apart from the fact that it was not uplifting to me. And I feel like I cannot give a show a must subscribe where I would pay money to watch something that's kind of dragging me down emotionally. What's your take on it?
In general, I like these thriller-esque shows where it's kind of like one man versus the world.
Yeah.
But like you, on the flip side, so how you mentioned that, you get a bit tired of everyone just kind of hunched down over their phones and doing research and finding out the mystery. I get tired when it's just about one guy always on the run and he's constantly on the run. Because you're just like, all right, get on with it. Like, we get it. You're being chased. Your every situation seems like a bad thing.
Yeah.
This one seems more grounded, if you can use that term, in the
Yeah.
sense that he's not constantly on the run. In fact, because he's a journalist on CNN, he's kind of well known in the sense that people recognize him out on the street. And, as you said, he self-reports to the police. So it's not one of those things where he's like always trying to evade. Like he's doing the things that you and I would logically do if we were in the same position.
It's a very good observation, which is for someone who's on the run, there are scenes where he's like surprisingly living a normal life, right? I wouldn't say that's a flaw in the show. It's just a dichotomy, which is he can't rent cars. He can't go here. He's got to like, stay hidden. But then sometimes he's like just sitting in the backyard at a barbecue, chilling, having a beer, like no big deal. And I kind of got a sense of like, well, look, is your life in danger or not in danger? But I guess you can't always be at DEFCON 1. At some point, you naturally let your guard down. You're like,
yeah,
look,
exactly.
I got to take a shower. I got to eat. Like, I cannot be like always hidden. So
you can't always be sweating all the time.
yeah. But I thought that the show itself, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, and I told you, I think that's why, you watched it and I watched yours, is I really, really enjoyed the show. But for me, it's hard to give it a must subscribe when the subject matter is just dark. And again, I wouldn't say it brought me down, like it made me depressed. It just tempers your mood, And for me, a show that's a must subscribe is a show. It doesn't have to be a comedy, but it's a show that if I had a tough day and I need to veg and I need to, get out of my funk, the show gets me out of my funk. It's not a show that's like, oh my gosh, this is making me even more depressed.
Yeah,
The world is so bad,
If I could, I think it's what you're saying is that there needs to be an element of it that seems a little fantastical or compelling.
That's right.
And this is a little too grounded for that, in the sense that, I mean, we've watched some dark stuff in our time, not just on Scream or Skip, but in our day, right? Like we've seen some shows about a murderer or a show about a drug dealer, all these kinds of shows. But there's something compelling, right? You look at Breaking Bad, it's a drug dealer who's got cancer.
Yeah.
But what made it compelling was the drug making element of it and all of those kind of things. Again, not shows that on paper sound like there would be, easy watches, but at the same time, there was an element of you're not sweating the whole time you're watching it. And in this, I felt like I was sweating the whole time watching it.
Yeah. Totally agree. Okay, so I think we had a pretty good week, actually. I mean, those are two great shows. Can we keep it going? What do we have next week, my friend?
All right, so next week I've gone a little out of pocket for you.
You have. Tell me.
You're on Netflix watching an older movie called Wicked Little Letters.
It's a 2023 British black comedy mystery film.
Yeah, it's kind of like a murder mystery. So that's what I thought, was that the element of dark comedy, which I know you're okay with, and a murder mystery, which I definitely know you're with, I thought that might be interesting.
I love it. I mean, Wicked Little Letters. And what do you have?
I'm on Paramount watching the second spin-off of Dexter Resurrection.
Let me ask. So I assigned this to you. I have never gotten into Dexter. I know the premise. I've never gotten into it. I've watched 2 episodes of my life, maybe.
Sure.
But Dexter is very, very popular as far as I'm aware. And now this is kind of like, I don't know if I'd call it a reboot or a spinoff or something else. What's your relationship to Dexter? Like, where do you fall on it?
I loved the original show. It was a lovely show, and the ending absolutely annihilated it. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible series.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for you to watch this because you were a Dexter fan, and maybe you can fill me in and either have me convinced or not convinced that this is something to watch. Especially
so
if it's
Dexter is the same. It's that, it's that same kind of thing we were just talking about. It's a show that's very dark, right? It's about a serial killer, but he's working for the police department, and he's on his crime spree, and he has to hide it from the police, and he has to hide it from his sister. There's a lot in there.
All right, Pete, before we sign off, can you read off our YouTube and other social media creds so that people can like, disagree, comment, filibuster, whatever their heart's desire is.
All right, you heard the man. We want your filibusters in here. Leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell.
Could not have said it better myself. Pete, thank you for a very good episode of Stream or Skip. Listeners, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week, next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.